Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Sam Kwak, one of the Kwak Brothers, and welcome back to day 6 of 21 Days of Mental Detox Challenge. And for those who've been following this series, guys, welcome back. And for those who are brand new to this series, some of you guys are wondering what this series is all about. So this series is all about personal development, getting you to be the better version of yourself, really creating who you are, your personal development, and so on. So let's go and talk about day 6 in the topic. And as you guys know, for those who've been following, I have this really bad stitch in, right? You guys can kind of see it. Yeah, it looks really nasty. Ugh. Anyways, I promise I won't show that again. So with day 6, it's all about how do we autopilot your success, right? And some of you guys are like, man, I got to work so hard. I got to do so many things all at once. You know, I feel exhausted of having to do the right thing all the time, right? And a lot of you guys fall in this fallacy of like, I got to be perfect all the time, or otherwise I'm going to judge myself and I'm going to have this guilt for the rest of my life, right? You guys should never feel this way about success and building your business, right? None of you guys should. In fact, you guys should be enjoying the process because there's a book called Happiness Hypothesis. I think most of you guys should definitely read it. But Happiness Hypothesis talk about, really the thesis of the book is you don't really achieve happiness through, the money or the amount of friends. It's not gonna come through any of the material means. But what happiness, where you will achieve happiness is the process of building the success, right? The process of building a business, the process of building a profitable business. That's where you're gonna feel happy, right? It's not about the result, right? Which a lot of us, including myself, we're always focused on the result. But a lot of times you got to learn to enjoy the process and really cultivate this thinking of, okay, I'm going to enjoy the process. I don't care what happens. And typically people that enjoy the process tend to be more successful than people who are more result oriented, mainly because people who are like only focused on the results see that, at their first try or the second try, the results don't happen, and they're like, okay, I quit because it didn't happen. Whereas where someone's process oriented, they're like, well, that didn't work, so let's try this, let's try this, because they love they just love the process, and eventually they hit the right chords and they get really successful, and they're like, yeah, I love that, I want to do that again, right? So enjoy the process, guys. It's never really about 100% about the results, though money is important, but enjoy your process. Now, how do we automate, or how do we put our success lifestyle on automation, right? How do we do the right things all the time? And first of all, from the get-go, I want to make sure I say this. You don't have to do the right things all the time, right? If you look at guys like Tim Ferriss, the guy who wrote 4-Hour Workweek, you actually notice that he has a phase where he just completely slacks off. He sleeps till like noon. He's not very productive, but at the same time, he spends that entire time figuring out what he needs to do. So here's how we automate your success activities. And I almost chose the word habit, but I know a lot of you guys are like, "Ooh, habits. I don't want to. I've tried that before. I don't want to be doing that again." Right? Some of you guys tried this whole New Year resolution, didn't work, and you guys are like, okay, I give up. I'm not gonna, I'm definitely not gonna work out, right? Or you may have said, well, I'm gonna go and read a book a day or read a book a week, and that was your New Year's resolution. And 3 days later, you're like, you're done, right? You quit. So here's how to build a successful automatic habit that's going to really get you to the longevity, building success, and improving yourself. And my philosophy is if you improve yourself and improve who you are, you're also going to improve your business and the identity of your business. So there's a great book that you guys should all read called The Habit by Charles Duhigg. Charles Duhigg is a journalist. He's also an New York best-time author, and he talks about habits in 3 components. There's the trigger, the behavior, and the award. So if you look at any behavior, if you look at any habits that you do subconsciously or unconsciously, everything happens in that order. So something triggers that behavior happens, and you get awarded for that behavior. So for example, some of you guys may have a habit of smoking or drinking. So identifying, okay, do I smoke when I'm stressed, or do I smoke at a certain time? Do I smoke if I hear something? Do I smoke at a certain weather, right? You got to identify the trigger, and the behavior, of course, is you smoking. You go out and taking a smoke break, and reward could be a dopamine rush. It could be feeling of escape, right? Escapism. It could be a sense of stress relief. So you have to identify your trigger, your behavior, and your award. Now, what you can't change is the trigger and the award. So you cannot it's really, really hard unless you're like a 3-year-old baby. It's really, really hard to change the trigger and the award. So as adults, right, we're kind of pre-programmed for these triggers and award. But what you can change is the behavior, right? So some of you guys who are psychologists, you guys may know this is a behavioral psychologist stuff. But let's say, same example, you guys are triggered to go smoke, right? I'm sure some of you guys don't smoke. I don't either. But some of you guys may be triggered to smoke. Instead of smoking, maybe you go and do a chewing gum, right? That's why Nicorette or whatever the gum company is was invented and became really successful, because the people that were smoking, right, they were getting triggered, and instead of smoking, they would replace the habit with a chewing tobacco or chewing gum. And then their reward was they felt like they were chewing, they put something in their mouth and they feel like they're getting comforted, right? So you got to identify those things. Whatever behavior you want to change, whatever habits you want to change, you got to identify those 3 things. Now, another thing you have to be careful when you are changing a habit or wanting to implement a new behavior is that never try to implement more than one habit at a time. Because what happens is you're going to start draining your willpower, and willpower is finite. So when you drain your willpower, that's what happens when you quit. You quit, right? You just don't have the willpower to go on. Or you're like, man, I don't want to eat the donut. I really don't. It's 9 o'clock. I don't know if I should have it, but you know what? I'm tired anyway, so I'm gonna have the donut, right? That's probably what you're thinking when you're like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Because that's at nighttime, at evening. That's when your willpower is at its lowest. So what you want to do is you want to conserve and focus your willpower on changing or replacing one habit at a time. And there's a study done by College of London that a habit is fully formed within 66 days. So you got to really give yourself about 2.5 months, 2 months and 6 days for you to form a habit. And then next, once you have it formed, when you have it on a subconscious level, then you move on to the next habit that you want to replace, you want to modify, or you want to alter. So let's say you have a habit of waking up really like late at noon, okay, which is a terrible time to wake up, and you want to change and replace that behavior. So instead of waking up at noon, you got to identify, okay, so what is my trigger, right? Do I stay up at night watching Netflix? That might be a trigger. Is there a certain time of the month, or is that certain time of the day that I wake up late? Is there a certain condition? So a lot of it is identifying what is causing this behavior, what's triggering that behavior in the first place. So obviously the behavior is waking up late. And what is the award that you get by waking up late? Maybe you feel, well relaxed, well rested, but that can still be achieved even if you woke up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning, right? All you have to do is just go to sleep earlier. So maybe you step back and say, well, maybe it's not that I sleep late. Maybe I go to bed late, right? Maybe it's not that I wake up at noon is the problem. Maybe it's because I sleep at 3 a.m. in the morning that's causing me to wake up at 12 in the noon, right? So now we got what's called this is my term, the cause and effect habit, where waking up at 12 is not the problem. It's you going to bed at 3 a.m. in the morning is the problem. So now you identify, okay, what's triggering me going to bed and having that habit of going to bed at 3 a.m. in the morning. And then you go in and identify the trigger, you know what the behavior is, and you know what the award is. So by changing the behavior, that gives you the same award. So your award, maybe you feel more productive because you're working on some night projects, right? You're working on some extra things at night that you feel more productive. So what if you change the behavior by putting all the work in the morning? You still feel productive. You get awarded by feeling that sense of dopamine of accomplishment, and you change the behavior. Same amount of trigger, same trigger, because the trigger may be, well, I need to work. I need to feel like I'm doing something and getting things done. So that might be your trigger, right? And then you have to reassociate saying going to bed early is accomplishing something. You get awarded with a small dose of dopamine, and then next morning when you wake up, you work on those projects that you used to work on till 3 a.m. in the morning to get that extra dopamine. So the idea is you can never delete a habit, but you can replace it. right? You can never delete or try to fight against your own willpower. It's going to cost a lot of willpower and it's going to take toll on your stress. But what you can do is you can replace your habit, alternating the behavior and reassociating what the award means, right? So maybe your habit is you eat too much chocolate, right? And chocolate's got sugar. Obviously, sugar gives you, boost of energy, dopamine, all insulin, all that. So you may have to change that. You may have to reassociate, okay, what other behavior I can do that's going to give me a sense of dopamine, right? So maybe you do 10 push-ups instead of eating a chocolate bar. Let's say you have a habit of biting your nails. So what you can do is instead of biting your nails, right, you can chew on gum, right? So different habits that are really going to help you really optimize your life. And when you optimize your life, you're going to be able to optimize your business. So so get into a habit. And if you really study the successful people, and this is why I'm asking you guys to discover what your habits are and alternate them, is because if you study successful people, it's not like they all of a sudden they like create this big thing all at once. If you study Steve Jobs, he's got a set of habits that has led him to creating a successful company called the Apple, right? If you study Bill Gates, if you study George Lucas, if you study some of these infamous people that have achieved a lot of things, if you notice that it's the things that they've accomplished that we see as like a big grandiose thing has been a result of these little habits that they've built over time to where it created momentum to where they can go and accomplish those big tasks that we see today as Microsoft, Apple, Lucasfilm. I'm trying to name some successful companies. Jeff Bezos' Amazon. So do little things that are right every single day, and they will compound on you, and it will catch up to later where you're gonna see the success come at you. It's kind of like working out, right? I mean, you don't expect to have a six-pack, day one you go right and work out. It's gonna take you, right? You do 20 sit-ups, 10 curls, planks for 30 seconds or a minute, and you do that every day. And in a couple weeks, in a couple months, then yeah, you're gonna start to see that abs come out, come and forming. So it's like anything in life, right? You don't expect a tree to grow in overnight. You don't expect your kids to grow into a 7 feet all-star NBA player overnight. Things take time, guys. Things will take progress to where you got to do the little things right every single day, and they will add up, right? A lot of you guys are so focused on the big things, like accomplishing a big step, like jumping to the next big things, that you lose sight on doing the right things every single day in progress consistently and persistently. So guys, that's it for tonight. That is day 6. And tomorrow we're going to talk about what habits and what behaviors do you have to absolutely change to make an effect on 80% of your life. So we're going to talk about what I like to call the cornerstone habits that will make big impact on what you do in life and the trajectory of how successful you're going to be as a real estate investor and an entrepreneur. So guys, join me tomorrow. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow night. Thank you for joining me. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. All right. Take care.